All right, good stuff. All right, good stuff, Johnny Mac. Continue rolling on here on the Birds 365 Football Friday edition. We talked a little bit about Dontavian Wicks earlier. John, I want to ask you about something we've obviously already talked about earlier in the season or earlier in the offseason, but what do you make of their schedule this year, and how do you think it plays to kind of what their not their problems, but what they're trying to do this year? I mean, you talked about that week when we had the week 5 bye, how it played to their favor. Anything jump out at you at their schedule?
Boy, I got to look at it. I mean, I remember when we were talking about it, and I thought it was positive from the standpoint of, um, I think that the tougher stuff comes later in the season when, in theory, they should have their feet on the ground from an offensive perspective. But I think if you look at Washington at home, look, it could start right there. Washington doesn't look like a good team on paper. It doesn't look like they have a great roster, but they do have Jaden Daniels. So if he's healthy, and he's obviously going to be revved up, going through what he went through last season. He was one of the quarterbacks they followed on the Netflix show, and he had a really difficult season. So he's going to be really motivated. But I mean, that's a spot at home opener. The Eagles should win the football game. I'm saying it's possible that Jaden Daniels could just will the Commanders to a win, which I think would be. I think the angst would be started quickly then, because the Eagles are a better football team. Then they're at Tennessee in week 2. I mean, one of the worst teams in the NFL. New coach, new offensive coordinator that the Eagles wanted. Cam Warden the second year, but they got a long way to go. I mean, that
I'm not
is
falling for anything in the first 4 weeks.
what's that?
I'm not falling for anything in the first 4 weeks, win or lose. They were 4-0 last
Well,
year.
I think you. I
They
think
were
you.
7-7 the rest of the way.
I think you should be concerned if they lose to Tennessee. And then you have at Chicago, which is a difficult game, and the Rams here, which is a difficult game. So, there's a chance if you lose one of those first 2 games that things could get kind of ugly. But I'm not as sold on Chicago as some people. The Rams are great. It's just a matter of how great and how healthy they can stay. And even though that game's at Lincoln Financial Field, I'm probably picking the Rams in that game. They're the best team in football on paper. But I mean, they outplayed the Eagles here last year, and the Eagles won. I wouldn't count on winning that way again, but they won the football game.
Yeah.
So
I think the back of the schedule is where things are tough, actually.
Yeah, well, they
just
have
from a defensive. They got Seahawks, Texans, Niners, Colts.
Yeah,
they
have, and you can throw Indy. I mean, Indy. I think people forget Indy was a good team before Daniel Jones got hurt. A very good team, and we have to see how he recovers. But you have that stretch of Indy, Seattle, Houston, at San Francisco. But the good thing is, there's first 3 are at home, so you're playing Seattle at home. You go out there, and that's a loss. It's one of the toughest places to play. But you have them here. Houston, you have them here. We'll see where they are with CJ Stroud by that point. San Francisco, I'm not as enamored with as some people. It's ironic. I was warning everybody they were going to make the playoffs last year, but that's because they had the 4th place schedule. Now I'm warning everybody about Detroit for the same reason. Don't sleep on Detroit. Everybody's all on Chicago. Detroit's going to win that division. Mark my words. I think Chicago's going to take a step back. And still,
I agree on Chicago. I mean, they lost Dahlman, and he really changed that team a little bit up. So I think they're going to take a step back too. I don't know how much though. I do like Ben Johnson, John. I'm a Ben Johnson guy. I gotta be honest.
everybody's a Ben Johnson guy.
Yeah, it's true.
You know, a little bit, you know, he's a little bit, got a little, you know, he's the guy offensively now. He's going to usurp Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay. I don't know when, but it's coming, and it's coming quickly. To the point that Press Taylor might get a head coaching job. He already got.
When he was with Doug Peterson, he was a steaming pile of crap. Now he's with.
Well, he's with Doug twice.
Yeah.
He was with Doug in Jacksonville as well. And now he's the offensive coordinator in Chicago, for people that don't know. So the great Ben Johnson hired Press Taylor. Remember that. But you know, he's got some of the same issues that McVay and Kyle. He gets so bogged down with the offense that, you know, maybe some other things get by him, because football's a team game. For those who don't like CEO coaches, they don't pivot quickly if they're struggling in special teams or defense or yada yada yada. So, and there's the game management aspect as well. But offensively, yeah, you can't really complain about anything he does. He's way ahead of the curve as far as aggression, which I love. Like, he understands. They're 3rd and 5, to the point of the Eagles in fixing first down. More than anybody else. If Ben Johnson's 3rd and 5, when he was in Detroit, when he's in Chicago, they're probably going to run the ball, because he knows he's going for it on 4th down. So if you turn 3rd and 5 into 4th and 1, 4th and 2, it's, you know, it's taking candy from a baby for him. And that's what the Eagles have to get back to. So I love the aggression part of it. Some people hate, obviously, when it doesn't work. You're the dumbest guy in the world. You've seen it with Detroit. But that is so impactful. If you're playing cautiously in the modern NFL, you're in trouble, man. You're in trouble. Because that's where analytics have jumped up. Too many people have figured out, like, you have to be aggressive. When you're plus 50 and it's 4th and short, you have to be aggressive. And I'm talking from first quarter on, you have to be aggressive. And the Eagles actually were the leaders of that in super, you know, Doug Peterson era, when they had a huge advantage. Now, the problem is everybody's caught up. Most people have caught up, not everybody. And you don't have as big as an advantage. So maybe you got to amp it up even further, like Ben Johnson has lapped them.
We'll see.
He's always had big-time talent as well. So obviously the skill people in Detroit, the offensive line in Detroit, and then he goes to Chicago and he's got Caleb Williams, and all of a sudden they spend $1 million, like Dr. Evil here, $1 billion on the offensive line, and they turn the offensive line around in one off season. And you know, you have young playmakers. They hit on Colston and Loveland. They're like the Rams. They got like 3 good tight ends. They got young receivers. They got a nice 1-2 punch in the backfield with Monangai and Swift. So they're very Detroit. They're like Detroit light. Good offensive line, good playmakers. Right. They have a bigger playmaker quarterback, but he's not as savvy. So that sort of like a give and take.
He's got to take some steps forward with that this year. That quarterback.
Yeah, he still makes too many mistakes, but If he figures it out, man, look out. He's gifted.